Okay, Floria, welcome back to part 2. So part 1 is the pros and cons, and part 2 is going to be my improvement wish list on how you can improve this for the second generation model for 2026. So my first thing is I'd like you to add the capability to charge the pack through the Type-C output on this. So you're going to have to make this a Type-C input so we can charge, or so consumers can use their own laptop charger to charge this up. And I'd like you to give it a capacity from 45 watts to 100 watts. Number 2, increase the charge cable thickness from 16 gauge to 12 gauge. So that's this right here. Change this from 16 gauge to 12 gauge. Replace the MR30 connectors with the bare wire terminals. That's this right here. So instead of using the MR30 connectors, use these type of connectors, so you can just strip bare wire, stick it in there, and they don't have to buy the MR30 connectors or solder. Make it a lot easier. And the next thing is I'd like you to add the capability to charge with a solar panel, 10 watt to 100 watt. So same thing as adding functionality to charge this with a laptop charger. I'd like you to have a setting on here where you can charge it with a solar panel from 10 watts to 100 watts. Now, the reason why this would be helpful is because most people they have a need for parking mode during the day when the car is at the office, sitting in the parking lot. So if they can hook up a solar panel to charge this thing, all they need is 10 watts. The 10 watts will power the dash cam, and it will prevent the battery pack from discharging. But once the sun goes down, then the dash cam will actually start drawing power from the battery pack. So what this will do is the battery pack will not start discharging during the day, so it can increase the overall runtime by however many days of, or by however many hours of sunlight there are in a day. So when they get to work at 8 a.m., the sun goes down at 6 p.m. That's 10 hours. That's 10 hours of extra recording time, and it'll only start discharging the battery when the sun goes down. Next, I'd like you to replace the Velcro mounting strips with a mounting bracket or built-in holes. Okay, so what I'm talking about is you guys include these Velcro mounting straps, and it's nice that you do that, but I would never trust those. So what I'd like you to do is to offer like some kind of plastic bracket. You know, it could be very cheap. It doesn't need to be that strong, just 2 of them, just to bolt this thing down so when the car is driving and moving around, it doesn't slide around. Or even better is this amplifier. See, it has these feet built into the chassis. There's the right 1, 2, 3, 4. And what these holes are for is so this can be mounted to either the floor or a seat back or wherever you want, a piece of wood, and you run screws in so you can bolt this thing down so it doesn't move when you're driving around. So I don't see how that could increase cost too much, but you're going to have to redesign the case so to add feet or put a hole that goes all the way through it so they can run a screw all the way down to bolt it down. The next thing is replace the battery life indicator. I already talked about that. The battery life indicator, we just have 4 green LEDs, 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. If you could replace that with just a standard percentage from 0% to 100%, That would be nice. And oh, the output cable. This is the output cable that plugs into the dash cam, and then these 3 wires go to the Hardwire kit. And the wiring on this is very, very thin. It's 22 gauge. I would like you to upgrade this from 22 gauge to 16 gauge, because that's what the Hardwire kit on the Viofo is. I'm familiar with that one. It's 16 gauge wire. So upgrade this from 22 gauge to 16 gauge to reduce the amount of voltage drop on this. I think that's important. Okay, next is replace the unlock procedure with a low and high switch. Okay, so when the consumer wants to configure the battery pack to either use the high amperage setting or the low amperage setting, they have to do that unlock procedure where they've got to turn it on and off, turn it on for 10 seconds, and then turn it off for 5 seconds, and then repeat that for 5 times. That is a very convoluted, difficult process. Most consumers are not going to be able to do that by reading the owner's manual. It would be much easier if you just added a switch. And the switch is like this on the PC8. It's got a switch for low, off, and high. So something like that would be much more user-friendly and easier to do. And my last improvement wish list is to get rid of the 2 versions, the Hardwire fuse box version and the CLA version, and just merge it into one version where you get all the wiring and cables and accessories necessary to hook this up. Because again, if the consumer buys the Hardwire version, they don't get the cigarette lighter charge cable, and if they buy the cigarette lighter version, they don't get the Hardwire cable, and they don't get, most importantly, the output cable. So they can't even hook up the dash cam with a Hardwire kit to take advantage of parking mode, which is the whole point of this thing, is to put the dash camera in parking mode so they don't run down the vehicle starter battery. So I'd like you to merge both versions into just one single version and charge it $230, because a $10 increase is still a heck of a lot cheaper than $350 for the Power Cell 8, which is the nearest competition. Okay, Floria, we'll see ya. Bye-bye.